Welcome to Forbidden Texts. What you are about to see may shock you. It may surprise you, but will definitely challenge everything you thought you knew. Stick around until the end to discover the forbidden knowledge that they don't want you to have.
You wake up one morning, and everything feels off. The world hasn't changed, but something inside you has snapped into place, or maybe out of place. Suddenly, you see through the illusion, like a veil has been ripped away. Was it always this way, and you just never noticed, or did reality itself just shift? Welcome to Forbidden Texts, where we explore ancient knowledge and forgotten wisdom. Most people go through life on autopilot, never questioning, never seeing beyond the surface. But some are forced awake, sometimes in an instant, sometimes through pain, sometimes through something so bizarre it makes them question their own sanity. And if you've ever had a moment like this, you know there's no going back. These aren't your typical self-help, feel-good stories of slow spiritual growth. These are awakenings that rip people out of their old selves, sometimes violently, sometimes beautifully, but always permanently. You may have already experienced one and not even realize what it was. By the end of this video, you'll know if you've had a true awakening moment, or if one is coming for you. Because once you see behind the curtain, there's no unseeing it. And the strangest part, it doesn't always feel good. Sometimes, it feels like losing your mind. Let's start with the first awakening, when it happens instantly. 1 second, you're living your normal life. The next, everything changes. No warning, no slow build-up. Just snap, and you're never the same again. People call it a light switch moment, an instant awakening. No years of meditation, no deep spiritual practice, just a sudden and undeniable shift, as if reality itself glitches for a moment, and you step through into something more real than real. Maybe it happens in the middle of a mundane day, washing dishes, driving to work, scrolling on your phone. And then, out of nowhere, bam, your mind expands, your perception warps, and you suddenly understand things in a way you never did before. Some describe it as being hit by a bolt of lightning, except it's not painful. It's clarity. A raw, undeniable knowing. For some, it comes during extreme emotional distress, almost like the mind can't handle the suffering anymore and just breaks through to another level. For others, it happens for no reason at all. They wake up one morning, and the person they were the day before is just gone. One man described walking home from work when suddenly his vision shifted. It was like stepping out of a dream into something impossibly real. Colors were sharper, the air felt electric, and for the first time in his life, he knew, without a doubt, that he was something far greater than just a body, a name, a personality. And the weirdest part, he couldn't explain it. He just knew. This type of awakening is rare, but when it happens, it's unmistakable. There's no questioning it, no mistaking it for just a cool experience. It rewires you. And once it happens, there's no going back to sleep. But not all awakenings feel like a gift. Some feel like an error in the system. Like reality itself starts breaking down around you. A glitch. A shift. A feeling that something is deeply, deeply wrong. And if you've ever felt like the world around you suddenly doesn't make sense anymore, like you woke up in a different reality than the one you went to sleep in, you're not alone. Because that's exactly what happens in the next awakening moment. You wake up one morning, and something feels off. Not in a bad mood kind of way, but in a fundamentally broken reality kind of way. The world looks the same. The people around you act the same. But there's this eerie sense that something has shifted. Maybe it starts small. A street sign you've passed 1,000 times suddenly has a different name. A childhood memory feels wrong, like it belonged to someone else. A song you swear you heard as a kid, no record of it exists. At first, you brush it off. Maybe I'm just misremembering. But then it happens again. And again. And soon, you start to wonder, did I wake up in a different reality? This isn't just déjà vu. This is a glitch in the system. And it happens to more people than you think. Some call it the Mandela effect, named after the bizarre phenomenon where thousands of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s. Except that never happened. Others recall movies, books, even world events that simply don't exist in this timeline. And it doesn't stop there. People report sudden shifts in personality, where they wake up feeling like a different version of themselves. Some even claim to have memories of entirely different lives, like echoes from a timeline they were never supposed to leave. One woman described waking up one day and feeling like the laws of reality had changed. Gravity felt lighter. The sky looked wrong. The people around her felt slightly off, as if she had somehow shifted into a near, identical but different version of Earth. She spent months trying to shake the feeling, but it never went away. Because deep down, she knew she wasn't in the same place anymore. Sound insane? Maybe. But if you've ever experienced this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the unshakable feeling that the world isn't what you thought it was. That maybe, just maybe, you slipped between the cracks of reality itself. But here's where it gets even weirder. Because for some people, the shift isn't just an eerie feeling. It's an all-consuming collapse, where everything they've ever known crumbles, and they're forced to face the darkest truth of all, who they really are. And that's where we're heading next. Because if you've ever felt like your entire life was being ripped away before something new could emerge, then you've already experienced the next awakening. The one that feels like death itself. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you thought you were, your beliefs, your identity, your purpose, was a lie. Not a mistake. Not a misunderstanding. A lie. At first, it's subtle. Maybe you start questioning things you never questioned before. Your job, your relationships, the way the world works. But then, it spirals. The things that used to bring you joy feel meaningless. The people you once connected with feel distant, foreign. And the worst part, you don't even recognize yourself anymore. This is what's known as the dark night of the soul. And it's the awakening that feels like dying. For many, it starts with a deep depression, a sense of being completely disconnected from everything. Some describe it as feeling like a ghost in their own life, watching themselves go through the motions, but knowing deep down that everything is wrong. But this isn't just depression. This isn't something that can be fixed with self-care or therapy. This is something deeper. A spiritual collapse. It happens when the false self, the identity we build based on what society, family, and culture expect from us, starts to disintegrate. And when that happens, it feels like losing everything. One man described his experiences waking up to find the world in black and white. He lost all passion for life. Everything he believed in, his religion, his values, even his sense of morality, started to unravel. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He felt like a passenger in his own existence. And then, when he had lost everything, the breakthrough happened. Because here's the truth, the dark night of the soul isn't a punishment. It's a purge. It's a total destruction of the false self, making way for something real. The scariest part, you don't get to choose when it happens. And once it starts, there's no stopping it. You either surrender or you break. But those who survive it, they come out the other side reborn, with a new mind, a new purpose, a new reality. And sometimes they come out with something else. Because in the deepest parts of this transformation, some people encounter something otherworldly. Maybe you've already seen them. Maybe you felt them watching. Maybe in your lowest moments, you've already met them. Because the next awakening moment, it isn't just about breaking reality. It's about who's waiting for you on the other side. You're lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, your mind shattered, your soul emptied. Maybe you've just hit rock bottom. Maybe you've lost everything. Maybe you're finally ready to give up. And then they arrive. At first, it's just a feeling, like someone is in the room with you, even though you're alone. The air changes. It thickens, charges. Maybe it's a shadow in the corner of your vision. Maybe it's a whisper, not with words, but with knowing. Some people experience it in dreams, visions so real they wake up with the memory burned into them like a scar.
A quick message. This space has become something truly special for many of us. A community of people on a shared journey of spiritual growth, healing, and awakening. Your comments and stories inspire me every day, and it's clear there's so much more we can create together, especially since this path can feel lonely at times. That's why we've created a spiritual space on Patreon, a sanctuary for deeper connection, exclusive content, and meaningful conversations with others from this channel who share your journey. Together, we can build something uplifting, authentic, and spiritually powerful. If this resonates with you and you'd like to be part of something bigger, whatever you're going through, you'll find the link in the description or pinned in the comments. Your membership not only helps support the channel, but also helps grow this beautiful community. Let's create something amazing together.
Others feel a presence standing near their bed in the middle of the night, watching, waiting, not menacing, not comforting, just there. These are the encounters people rarely talk about because they don't make sense. Angels, guides, entities from beyond. Whatever they are, they show up when you need them the most, or when you're ready to see. One woman described standing in her kitchen, overwhelmed with grief, when suddenly, time seemed to slow. She felt a warmth behind her, like someone standing inches away. When she turned, no one was there. But she swears, she knows, that something was watching her, protecting her. Another man, deep in a meditative state, found himself face with a being made of light. It didn't speak. It didn't move. But it radiated a message so powerful, he burst into tears. The message: you are not alone. Skeptics will say it's hallucination, a trick of the mind, a desperate brain reaching for meaning. But those who have experienced it know this wasn't imagination. This was something real. And not all encounters are comforting. Some are tests. People report shadow figures appearing in their most vulnerable moments, forcing them to confront their darkest fears. Some wake up paralyzed, staring into the void of something standing over them, its presence so overwhelming it feels like it could swallow them whole. Are these beings guiding us, testing us, watching from the other side of a veil we don't fully understand? Or are they just waiting? Because once you've seen them, once you've felt their presence, you can't unsee it. And whether you welcome them or fear them, one thing is certain: you are not alone in this awakening. But what if the ultimate test isn't what's out there, but what's inside you? Because the final awakening moment isn't about meeting something else. It's about losing yourself completely. You spend your whole life believing you are someone, a name, a personality, a collection of memories and experiences. You have likes, dislikes, opinions, dreams. And then, one day, it happens. You wake up, look in the mirror, and feel nothing. Not sadness, not emptiness, not even fear. Just a vast, echoing absence where you used to be. This is ego death. And if you've ever experienced it, you know exactly how terrifying it is. It starts with a crack, some moment of deep realization that shakes the very foundation of your identity. Maybe it happens during meditation. Maybe it's triggered by a near-death experience, a psychedelic trip, or just an unexplainable moment of pure knowing. But once that crack forms, the whole structure starts to collapse. You realize that you've spent your whole life building the version of yourself that you present to the world, that you protect, that you think is you, isn't real. A sense of total disintegration, like their consciousness is being erased, piece by piece. Others feel a sudden detachment, as if they are watching themselves from outside their body, seeing their life from a distance, realizing they are not the character they thought they were. One man described his ego death as dissolving into infinity. He said it was like being unplugged from the illusion of self, like suddenly remembering that he had never actually been an individual at all, just a temporary ripple in something much, much bigger. And at first, it feels like dying. Because in a way, it is. The mind fights it. It desperately tries to reconstruct the old self, to snap back into the illusion, to anchor itself in something familiar. But the more you try to hold on, the faster you slip away. But here's the secret, the thing that dies, the false self, the ego. It was never you to begin with. Because what happens next is something most people can't even put into words. When the fear fades, when the mind stops grasping, when the last remnants of the old self finally let go, what's left is something pure, something beyond thought, beyond identity, beyond words. Some call it nirvana. Others call it God, consciousness. Others call it simply truth. But no matter what name it's given, those who experience it say the same thing. I am not what I thought I was. And from that moment forward, the world is never the same. Because once you've seen through the illusion of self, there's no putting the mask back on. And that leads to the final, most important question of all. What happens next? Some people spend their whole lives chasing awakening, searching for the truth, begging the universe for answers. But what no one tells you is this: awakening isn't the end. It's the beginning. Because once you've seen behind the curtain, once you've stepped through the illusion, then what? That's the part nobody talks about. The aftermath. The part where you have to learn how to live in a world that suddenly feels fake. You might feel disconnected from your old life. The things that used to excite you feel meaningless. The people you once related to now seem lost, asleep, trapped in an illusion you can no longer believe in. And the worst part, you can't explain it to anyone. Try telling your friends, your family, your coworkers that reality isn't what they think it is. That the self is an illusion. That time isn't real. That they're living in a dream and don't even know it. Watch the way they look at you. That's the loneliness of awakening. You didn't ask for this. You didn't choose to wake up. It happened to you. And now you're stuck between two worlds, the world you used to know and the truth you can't ignore. But here's the part no one tells you. This isn't where it ends. Because the purpose of awakening isn't to escape reality. It's to live in it fully. You didn't wake up to run away to a mountain and meditate in silence for the rest of your life. You woke up to bring something back. to see the illusion, but still play the game, to understand the dream, but live it consciously. The final lesson of awakening: you are here, now, in this body, in this world. And it's time to stop asking what's real and what's not. It's time to create, because once you know the rules of the game, you don't have to play by them anymore. You can rewrite them, shape them, bend reality itself. So ask yourself, what will you do with this knowledge? Because if you've experienced even one of these awakenings, then you already know there is no going back, only forward. And now, the final question: have you experienced this? Maybe you felt it before, that flicker of something beyond the ordinary. A crack in reality. A moment where everything shifted and you knew, deep down, that nothing would ever be the same. Or maybe you're feeling it right now. Because here's the thing about spiritual awakenings: they don't ask for permission. They don't wait for the right time. They come when they're meant to. And when they do, you will know. But here's the real challenge. What will you do with it? You can ignore it. Push it down. Try to convince yourself that nothing happened, that life is just the same as it always was. Or you can step into it. Accept that the world is more than what you've been told. That you are more than you ever imagined. That this is just the beginning. Because the truth is, there's a reason you found this. A reason you listened all the way through. A reason you can't shake the feeling that something is waking up inside you right now. So I'll ask you again. Have you experienced this? Or is your awakening about to begin? And if it is about to begin, are you ready for it? Because once it starts, once that first crack forms in the illusion, there's no pausing it. No undoing it. It doesn't matter if you feel ready. It doesn't matter if you try to resist. It will pull you under. It will strip away everything false, everything comfortable, everything you once thought was you. And in that space, where the old self has burned away, something else will emerge. The real you. Not the name you were given. Not the person shaped by society's expectations. But the version of you that has always been there, watching, waiting. The part of you that isn't bound by time, by rules, by the limitations of the mind. And when that version wakes up, you will see the world as it truly is. Not as a prison, not as an illusion, but as something far more powerful, a canvas, a dream that you can shape, a reality that bends to the force of your awareness. So, one last time. If you've felt this, if you've seen through even the smallest crack in the illusion, then you already know. You're not who you thought you were. And this is just the beginning.